I remember the first time I drove down that narrow, winding forest road. The fog clung to the treetops like drifting silk, muffling the world around me. Every turn seemed to fold into the same endless gray, and the headlights barely cut through the thickening mist. The hum of the engine felt unnaturally loud, and even the tires on the gravel seemed hesitant, as if the road itself was holding its breath. Somewhere in the distance, a faint flicker of light caught my eye. A cabin, abandoned or perhaps waiting. I parked and stepped onto the cold, wet earth, my breath curling into the pale air. There was a rhythm to the silence, a soft rustle in the leaves, a sudden snap of a twig that wasn't mine, and a whisper of movement just beyond the fog. Every instinct screamed that I should leave, yet I found myself drawn forward, to that dim glow, to the sense that someone or something was watching, waiting. The door creaked under my touch, a hesitant sound swallowed by the thick hush. I peered inside, heart tightening, senses straining. The room was empty, and yet something lingered. A shadow, perhaps, or a memory too heavy to name. I stepped closer. That's when I saw it. The fog never lifts here. It clings to the trees, curling around their trunks like slow smoke. Morning light struggles to touch the ground. Even the birds seem hesitant to stir. I first saw the cabin from the curve in the trail. A small shape between dark trunks, pale light flickering behind its windows. No smoke rises from a chimney. No footprints mark the path leading to it. The closer I get, the hum grows, a soft vibration in the air and my bones. It's subtle, almost imperceptible at first, but it pulses, slow, steady, insistent. The trees sway, though the wind does not move. Shadows stretch across the ground, long and thin, bending unnaturally around the cabin. They curl up the walls, like fingers testing for warmth. A shape shifts just behind the glass. I blink. It's gone. Curiosity presses forward, even as fear coils in my chest. Each step toward the door makes the hum louder. The wood underfoot is dry, brittle. A single crackle echoes, then disappears into the fog. The cabin door yawns open, as if it had been waiting. Inside, the pale light is warmer than outside, though it carries no heat. Dust hangs in the air. Every surface seems untouched, yet there's a weight here. I hear it then. Soft, almost a whisper. A movement in the corner of the room. Shadows ripple across the walls. Twisting, stretching. I feel eyes, though none meet mine. A presence lingers just beyond vision, patient, watching. The hum pulses again. Fingers of cold creep along my spine. Still, I cannot turn away. Something inside this room calls me closer. It is quiet and insistent. The air tastes faintly metallic. I breathe it in slowly, carefully. Each inhalation carries a sense of something waiting, something unseen. A flicker of light dances across the ceiling. The shadows grow longer, bending toward me, pressing against the edges of the room. I run my fingers along the table, along the walls. They feel alive. The hum resonates under my touch. I want to leave. And yet, I cannot. A sudden shift. The pale light behind the windows pulses once. Then still, the room exhales, quietly, like it has been holding its breath all along. Silence stretches, thick and unbroken. I step back. The cabin seems larger now, endless in corners I cannot name. The shadows lean in closer. The hum lingers in my chest. And I understand, this place does not belong to me. I am not alone. Perhaps it has been waiting for someone exactly like me. Outside, the fog curls tighter around the cabin. It's almost suffocating. I turn once more toward the windows. The light flickers again. A shape presses close, pale and still. Then nothing. I step away. The trail swallows my footprints as if they never existed. The trees sway without wind. The hum fades into the mist, but I feel it still inside my chest. And I know this cabin waits. It waits for every curious step, every whispered breath, and every shadow that dares to follow. Dust drapes over the pine grove. Shadows stretch long and thin across the needle-strewn ground. The air smells faintly of resin and cold earth. Each breath tastes sharp, alive. I walk slowly. The forest seems to breathe around me, inhaling with each step I take. A rustling moves beneath the pine needles. Soft, almost polite, then still. The wind carries voices, barely there. Whispers I cannot understand. Urgent, yet unintelligible. They weave between the trunks, curling around me like smoke. A shadow flickers just beyond my vision, gone when I blink. And then another. Each movement feels deliberate, precise, watching. I crouch, fingers brushing the needles. The rustling stops. The silence that follows is sharp. Cold, it presses against my ears. I feel it then, eyes unseen, following. Every small movement mirrored by something I cannot see. My chest tightens. I want to rise and leave. But curiosity roots me to the forest floor. The scent of damp pine grows stronger. Footsteps I did not take echo softly around me, then vanish. A low vibration hums under the soles of my feet. The forest shifts. It moves without wind, without sound. It knows I am here. Branches sway against each other, brushing with faint whispers. A shadow darts across the corner of my eye. I turn, nothing. The rustling starts again, then stops. Abrupt, defiant. The forest floor seems to breathe beneath me. Needles slide and twist as if alive. Shapes form, then dissolve. I feel a weight pressing in from every direction. Something waits. Something unseen. I reach forward, compelled. Fingers touch cold bark. A vibration runs through it, up my arm, into my chest. The whispers grow quieter. They retreat, but the presence remains. A sudden chill crawls up my spine. The grove falls completely silent. No rustling, no wind, no whisper, only the watchful pause of the trees themselves. I rise slowly. Every step cracks against the needles. The air feels thicker, as if holding its breath. Shapes move in the periphery. I cannot count them. I cannot see them clearly. The forest presses closer, with each moment. I realize I am no longer alone. The shadows linger, patient. They study me, waiting for me to leave, or perhaps to stay. A final rustle under the needles. Then nothing, just the forest and me, the whisper of my own heartbeat in my ears, and the quiet, pressing knowledge that someone or something has noticed me. The sky darkens completely. The last light fades behind the trees, and I feel small, alone, exposed, and watched. The forest is impossibly still. Even the wind has stopped. Needles lie untouched beneath my feet, and the air feels heavy, almost waiting. I first see it at the edge of my vision, a figure, tall, pale, almost transparent. It does not move like a person. It drifts, slowly. Every time I blink, it inches closer, always at the corner of perception, never directly in sight. Its presence presses against me, not with violence, but with quiet insistence. I feel watched, studied. The trees hold their breath. Shadows stretch unnaturally long across the moss. Branches sway without wind. Something in the air hums, low and constant, resonating in my chest. I want to turn to confront it, but a part of me does not. Part of me wants it to stay, to linger. The ground underfoot is soft with moss, damp with decay. I hear the faintest rustle behind me. Yet when I look, nothing moves. The figure remains just at the periphery, pale light bending around it. My own heartbeat seems too loud. I try to quiet it, slow it. The forest answers with silence, an expectant, aching silence. I feel a cold brush across my arm. Not wind, not touch, something else. A presence that does not belong to the air, but to the space around me. And then it is gone. Or perhaps I am not meant to see it fully. The light changes subtly. Faint streaks of pale glow touch the trunks. The figure drifts closer again, silent, watching. Its form is delicate, fragile, almost sad. It does not speak. It does not demand. It simply waits. I realize I may not want it to vanish. The forest feels empty without it. Even the hum in the air carries a note of longing. The shadows themselves seem to bend toward the pale visitor, acknowledging its presence. I take a step back, and the figure mirrors nothing. It does not flee. It does not chase. It simply exists, tethered to the edges of perception, to the very heartbeat of the forest. The mossy ground feels colder, damp seeping through my shoes. A soft vibration hums in my chest, matching the rhythm of some unseen pulse. Every tree, every shadow seems aware, alive, watching. I blink, and the figure drifts closer still, pale eyes, or no eyes at all, fixing on me with an impossible stillness. Time slows. The forest holds me suspended in the quiet tension between fear and fascination. I want to look away. I want to run. And yet, a part of me remains, rooted in the silence, drawn toward the presence that should not exist, but does. A final pause, then the forest exhales. The figure is still there, just beyond sight. I feel it in my chest, in the air against my skin, in the long shadows stretching across the ground. A melancholy weight, and I understand some presences are not meant to vanish. I move, cautiously, backward along the trail. The forest seems to bend, reshaping itself, keeping me inside its quiet boundaries. The pale visitor drifts alongside, never close, never far, watching, waiting, and I feel a strange, aching comfort in its silence. The sun dips lower. The world grows dim, and I carry the awareness with me. I am not alone. I may never be. The cabin is empty. Sunlight slips weakly through the grimy windows. Dust hangs in the air, motes drifting slowly, lazily, as if time itself is pausing. Then the radio crackles. A low static hum fills the room, sharp against the silence. I didn't touch it. I didn't plug it in. It is alive with sound. Among the hisses, I think I hear my name. A whisper, faint, trembling in the static. My skin prickles. I reach to turn the dial, to silence it, but the sound persists. The air grows colder. Shadows bend and twist along the walls. Each flicker of light feels deliberate, measured. I shiver, though the cabin's air is still. The voices grow slightly clearer. Soft syllables, stretching my name across the room. They echo in my skull. I hear them not with my ears, but inside my chest, inside my bones. I try to step away. My foot hits a floorboard. It groans under weight I do not see. The static hisses, rising and falling like breath. Each pulse feels synchronized with mine. I glance at the walls. Shadows gather in corners, pooling slowly. They move, stretching toward me. I freeze. The room exhales quietly, expectantly. A cold breeze brushes my cheek. No window is open. The air tastes faintly metallic. And through it, the radio hums, whispering. Names, places, things I don't understand. I try to turn it off. The dial resists. The static swells louder, closer. I feel it behind my eyes and the hollow of my chest, vibrating with some impossible rhythm. Then the room shifts. A shadow moves along the ceiling, not following any source of light. It pauses, watching. Every hair on my arm stands. I reach to unplug it. Fingers brush the cord. Static jumps, sharp, a voice clearer this time. It says something I almost understand, and then it's gone, replaced by silence that is heavier than sound. I step back, trembling. The radio sits dead, unlit, unassuming. Yet I know it will speak again. It waits, patient. The cabin exhales. Shadows recede slightly, though not entirely. I feel them in the corners of my vision, bending toward the empty room. I touch the radio gently. Cold, impossibly cold. The memory of the whispers lingers inside me, vibrating softly in my chest. And I realize the voices were never in the machine. They were in the space between. Inside me, I leave the cabin briefly, stepping into the fog woods outside. The hum of static fades, but not completely. It lingers in my ears and my bones, a soft reminder that something unseen is listening. The cabin waits quietly. The radio waits. And I cannot forget the feeling of my own name spoken in the air, not by a person, but by the house itself. The stairs groan under my weight. Each step echoes, hollow, through the cabin. Up above, the attic waits. Silent. Empty, or so I tell myself. The air tastes metallic. heavy, thick, pressing against my lungs. I pause halfway, listening. A faint creak answers me. Not mine. I climb the last step slowly. The attic floorboards shift under invisible weight. Groaning, sighing, then stopping. The pause is louder than the sound. Shadows gather along the rafters, stretching, bending, curling against a low ceiling. I feel eyes on me, patient, observant. A single dusty window shakes. No wind moves it. The glass rattles softly, a whisper of warning. Something lingers in the corners, just beyond the reach of sight. I step forward. The boards protest underfoot. Soft footsteps follow, echoing mine, then stop exactly when I pause. The attic smells of old wood, of dust, of forgotten things. But there's something else, something colder, heavier, that settles behind my neck and shoulders. I shiver, though no draft moves. The shadows shift again, curving around the beams, stretching long across the floor. They feel alive, waiting, watching. I dare glance behind me. Nothing, yet the sensation remains. Eyes unseen, tracking my every movement. A floorboard groans sharply, close to my foot. I freeze. The silence that follows is more intense than the sound. It presses against my ears. My chest, my skull. I step carefully toward the center of the attic. Dust rises in tiny clouds around my boots. I hear whispers, too faint to understand, carried to the walls, the boards, the very air. Soft crying, maybe, or wind in the rafters. Or both. The shadows lean closer. Curious, patient. The window rattles again. I swear I see a shape behind the glass, but when I blink, it vanishes. I pause. The attic exhales. Or perhaps I do. The floorboards creak beneath weight that isn't mine. The air hums with something unseen. I realize I am not meant to understand this space. Not fully. It exists just beyond my perception, alive in ways that feel impossible. The attic waits, and I feel it watching every step, every breath, every movement. I step back. The shadows shrink slightly into the corners. The window still trembles, silently. But for now, I am alone. I descend the stairs slowly. Each step a reminder of the presence above. The attic watches. It remembers. It waits. Outside, the wind is still. The forest is quiet. And yet, I carry the echo of the attic inside me. The soft, metallic taste of fear. The memory of unseen eyes. And the knowledge that some corners of the cabin never truly empty. The cabin feels heavier tonight. Air thick, almost breathing around me. Shadows stretch along the walls, bending in ways that don't follow the light. I notice the mirror in the corner. Small, unassuming, framed in dark wood. But the glass does not reflect the room correctly. Or perhaps it reflects more than I should see. I catch my own face in the glass. And then, just behind me, a figure, pale, still, silent. I turn. Nothing. The corner of the room is empty, yet the reflection remains. Watching. A soft vibration hums through the floorboards. Cold brushes along my neck, though no wind moves. The shadows in the room lean toward the mirror, bending unnaturally. I step closer. The figure mirrors nothing. Its presence presses into the edges of the glass, lingering, breathing softly. I feel it in my chest, in the hollow behind my eyes. The room smells faintly of dust and old wood, yet the mirror carries another scent, sharp, metallic, almost alive. I breathe it in slowly, carefully. The reflection moves independently, shifting slightly while I stand still. I reach out, fingers hovering above the glass. A shiver runs through me. The figure moves closer in the reflection. A shadow of itself, or something else. I cannot tell. I step back. The mirror holds its gaze. Eyes are not mine, but somehow know me. And I realize, slowly, that I may never see the room truly as it is again. The hum grows louder. Not from the cabin, but inside me. Inside the mirror. A vibration that presses against my bones. Soft whispers echo, though the words are not real. Or are they? I blink. The figure drifts closer again. its pale presence almost mournful, patient, waiting. I want to leave. I want to turn away and close the door, but a part of me cannot. Something in the mirror pulls me back, insists that I stay, watch. The shadows twist against the walls. The air tastes faintly metallic. My heartbeat echoes in my ears. I step closer again. The figure moves when I do not. It breathes when I hold still. And I cannot tell where the reflection ends and the room begins. I finally look away. Slowly. The mirror remains. Silent, watching. And I carry the weight of it inside me, feeling its presence in every corner of the cabin. Even as I leave the room, the reflection lingers. Shadows bend toward it. The glass exhales softly. And I know it will wait. Always. The cabin feels thinner tonight. Walls almost porous. Air moves differently here, carrying a faint hum I cannot place. I pause in the hall. Soft whispers slip through plaster, curling around my ears. Fragments of conversation I do not recognize. Sometimes words that sound like mine. Other times, voices too hollow, too old to belong to any living thing. The shadows along the floor twist slowly, stretching toward the walls. Listening, waiting. I step closer. The whispers grow louder. They speak in fragments, broken pieces that pull at the edges of my mind. Warnings, questions, half-formed memories. I cannot understand them, but I feel their intent. A floorboard sighs beneath me. The sound echoes, but the voices do not pause. They drift around the corners, curling through the empty room, sometimes brushing against my skin. A chill schemes along my spine. I press my hand to the wall. It feels alive. Subtle vibrations travel under my palm, soft, persistent, like the heartbeat of the cabin itself. The whispers ripple through the wood and plaster. I catch a syllable. My name? A warning? I cannot tell. The air tastes faintly metallic. Dust shifts in the corners. Shadows sway in the corners of my vision. They do not belong to any object in the room. I step forward slowly. The whispers react. They echo with a faint urgency, though still unintelligible. A cold breeze slides under my arms. The walls lean inward. The cabin is listening. I pause. The voices soften slightly, but their presence presses against my chest. The shadows in the room bend toward the walls, forming shapes just beyond clarity. The whispers carry a rhythm now, slow, deliberate, as if the house itself breathes in time with the voices. I realize I am not merely hearing them. I am part of them, threaded into the hushed conversations of walls that remember everything. A living archive of presence, warning, and waiting. I retreat a step. The whispers pull back, curling into silence. But the weight remains. The knowledge that the walls watch and speak and remember, that the air is older than me. Even as I move away, the sound lingers, soft, distant, impossible to ignore. The cabin hums its secret language, patiently. And I know I will hear it again. Every time I return, the room exhales, the shadows curl tighter, the whispers fade into the quiet, leaving a lingering pulse. A heartbeat just beyond comprehension. And I step forward, carrying the weight of voices I cannot yet understand. The porch light flickers, not with the rhythm of a bulb dying, but frozen in time. A pale glow, suspended in the fog. It casts long shadows that stretch against the wind. I step closer. The boards underfoot creak softly, though no one moves beside me. A faint scratching hums beneath the planks. Then silence. The night seems to hold its breath. Fog curls thick around the cabin, brushing against my ankles, my knees. The air smells damp, earthy, and faintly metallic. Every sound I make feels amplified. Each heartbeat echoes across the stillness. Shadows twist unnaturally under frozen light. They reach, stretch, and sway as if the wind obeyed their movement, not the other way around. I step back. The fog closes slightly, shifting, hiding, watching. The porch boards vibrate lightly beneath my feet. A pulse subtle, rhythmic, almost sentient. Something beneath the floor stirs. Something that knows I am here. I reach for the door. The handle is cold, too cold. The light flickers again. A shadow detaches itself briefly, stretching far beyond any object it could belong to. I pause. A soft whisper curls around my ear. Indistinct. Urgent. I cannot understand it, but it presses into my mind. A warning? A greeting? I do not know. The fog thickens further. Shapes move just beyond sight. I blink. They vanish. But the sense of being watched lingers, pressing against my skin inside my chest. I step off the porch. The cold bites at my ankles, creeping upward. The scratching under the boards is gone, yet the memory of it stays. A rhythm, a presence, a weight just beneath perception. The night itself feels alive. The porch light hangs in the fog, frozen, patient. And I understand, slowly, that the cabin is aware. It watches through shadows, through fog, through the very stillness of night. I step back into the trees. The light flickers once more. Shadows stretch impossibly long. The fog coils tighter around the cabin, and the air carries the soft, unrelenting presence of something that waits, always, just beyond understanding. A loose floorboard catches my eye. I kneel, brushing away dust and debris. Beneath it, a journal rests, old, leather-bound, edges curled with age. Yet, the cover feels strangely familiar. I open it. The pages are filled with handwriting I know. My own, though I've never written these words. Each entry describes events before I arrived. Moments I thought were first, detailed as memories I cannot claim. The forest, the fog, the cabin, everything I have seen is recorded here. Before it happened, the air grows heavier. The hum of unseen presence vibrates in my chest. Shadows shift along the walls, curling toward the journal as if drawn by its words. I turn the pages slowly. The entries grow darker, more urgent. Descriptions of whispers, shadows, shapes that watch from corners, the hum beneath the floorboards. Everything I have felt, predicted in meticulous handwriting, I did not write. A metallic taste lingers on my tongue, a cold press against the back of my neck. I sense eyes behind me, though the room is empty. The journal trembles lightly in my hands, as if alive. The last page is blank, waiting. The air around it hums softly. It waits for me to continue, to inscribe the next lines, to add myself to its record. I set the journal down. Shadows lean closer, stretching unnaturally. The hum grows louder, pressing into my ribs, into my skull. I try to breathe slowly. The fog outside the window thickens, curling like slow smoke through the trees. A whisper brushes against my ear. My name, not spoken by any mouth. But the sound resonates inside me, pressing with impossible weight. I close the journal, yet I cannot ignore it. The cabin shifts subtly around me, walls sighing in quiet acknowledgement. The shadows recede, but only slightly. The hum persists, lingering in every corner, every surface. I touch the last blank page. The paper feels warmer than it should. I feel the pull, a quiet insistence, as if the cabin itself waits for me to write. The fog presses against the windows. Shadows sway gently in the corners. And I realize the journal was never forgotten. It was waiting, for me, for every word I have yet to write. The cabin exhales softly. The air tastes of dust and cold. And I understand fully that some stories are already written, long before I ever arrive. Every night, the shadow waits. At the window, silent, still. I see it before I notice anything else. A dark shape pressed against the glass, bending light around it. It does not enter, does not speak, just watches. I try to leave. The forest roads twist back toward the cabin. Trees shift subtly, guiding, corralling, reshaping the path. I blink, and I am back where I began. The fog presses against the windows. Every breath tastes of damp pine and cold stone. Shadows stretch along the floorboards, long and thin, bending toward the glass. The air hums faintly in rhythm with my heartbeat. I approach the window slowly. The shadow mirrors nothing I do. Its presence presses into the edges of the glass, quiet, insistent. A pulse of awareness lingers behind it, like eyes I cannot see. I step back. The fog thickens, curling to the trees outside. Shapes shift in the periphery. I cannot count them. I cannot name them. But they watch. The shadow remains. Patient, waiting, an inevitability that presses against my chest. I try to look away. The roads twist again. No matter how far I go, the forest leads me back. The cabin stands quiet and expectant. The shadow waits. The night exhales slowly. Windless, still heavy with observation. And I feel inside me a quiet certainty that I am being watched, that the shadow knows me better than I know myself. I stand before the window, motionless. The air tastes faintly metallic. The fog curls around the cabin, thick and patient. And I understand I will never truly leave. The shadow waits. Always. The cabin smells of old wood and dust. A faint scent of something sweeter lingers, vanilla or maybe decay. In the corner, a cradle rocks gently. Alone, I step closer. The wood creaks softly beneath my fingers. A lullaby drifts from the shadows, almost imperceptible. Notes carried on the air, faint, trembling, haunting. Soft crying echoes from the corners. I turn. Nothing. No one is there. The sound fades, but the feeling remains. The air tastes cold, metallic, pressing at the back of my throat. Shadows gather in the corners, stretching toward the cradle. The fog outside curls against the windows. I reach out. The cradle rocks faster, as if aware of my touch. I step back, heart pounding, and I understand the emptiness is alive. A presence lingers, quiet, patient watching, and a lullaby hums softly in my chest. Dawn breaks slowly. Fog hangs thick among the trees, swallowing everything in muted gray. Shapes move just beyond reach, silent, impossible to track. I hear footsteps echo mine, soft, careful, but they vanish when I turn. No one there, yet the forest feels aware. The needles underfoot are wet with dew. Cold mist clings to my clothes, to my hair, to my skin. The air tastes of damp pine and earth. A shadow drifts across the path. I blink. Gone. The fog pulses, slow and deliberate, hiding shapes, hiding watchers. I feel the forest pulse around me. Alive. Observing. My heartbeat matches the rhythm of something larger. Something patient. The fog thickens further. I take another step. Footsteps echo again, mirroring mine. And I realize I am not alone. The hum begins softly. A low vibration through the forest floor, rising slowly. Trees sway, though no wind moves. The sound presses into my chest, into my bones. It grows, subtle at first, then insistent, vibrating through every leaf, every needle, every branch. I feel drawn toward the center of it. The fog coils through the trees, curling around trunks and roots. Shadows bend unnaturally. The air tastes faintly metallic, a vibration brushing my teeth and tongue. I step forward. The hum follows, pulling, urging. Shapes move just out of sight, responding to the vibration. I am caught between fear and fascination. The forest seems alive, watching, breathing. Every step toward the center intensifies the hum. It resonates in my chest, a hypnotic insistence. I cannot stop. I do not want to stop. The unseen center draws me, slow, irresistible, and the forest pulses with song. The shadows are deep tonight. Black shapes bend along the trunks, curling over moss and fog. Then I see them, pale eyes, gleaming in the darkness. They blink when I blink. They vanish if I stare too long. Every movement in the forest feels deliberate, aware, studied. I step carefully. The needles underfoot whisper with each movement. Branches brush against me. Though the wind does not move, the eyes shift as I move, always at the edges, never fully revealed. I feel my heartbeat in the air around me. I feel them in it too. A low vibration hums through the forest floor. The fog coils closer. I realize I am not walking through the trees. The forest walks with me. The eyes follow, observing. I pause. Fear presses quietly, internally pressing against the back of my eyes. I am studied, measured, a specimen in a living, breathing world of shadows. A wall shifts in the corner of the cabin. A door appears where none should be. Its wood is old, polished faintly, but a frame hums with impossibility. I reach for it. The handle is cold. My reflection shimmers faintly on its surface. I open it slowly. Beyond lies a room I've never seen. It smells faintly of earth and shadow. The walls stretch impossibly far. The air vibrates softly, pressing against my chest. Every time I step through, the cabin shifts subtly. A floorboard moves. A shadow twists. The ceiling bends just slightly. I realize leaving might be impossible. The forest outside could change. The roads could vanish. And the cabin itself watches, alive, patient. I step back, close the door slowly. The walls settle. The air exhales. But the door lingers in my mind, impossibly present. Waiting. The grandfather clock looms in the corner. Dust covers its wood, thick and soft. The hands move backward, a slow, deliberate reverse, counting time into yesterday. Shadows twist in rhythm with each tick. The air feels heavier, pressing against my chest. Every backward tick carries memories I have never lived, a fear I cannot name. I reach out. The wood is cold beneath my fingers. The pendulum swings, steady, hypnotic. The room hums faintly with it, low and insistent. I blink. A memory flashes, one that cannot be mine. The walls bend slightly, stretching. Time itself feels wrong, untrustworthy. I step back. The shadows deepen, folding over floorboards. The hum in the air vibrates through my bones. And I realize the cabin rewrites its own history, quietly, patiently. I look up, footprints pressed into plaster. Fresh, soft, yet impossible. No one should be above me. The ceiling creaks softly under weight I cannot see. Shadows gather along the edges of the room, stretching upward. I hear movement. Soft, deliberate, precise. Each night, the prints grow. They extend across the ceiling, tracking something I cannot name. A rhythm presses through the floorboards. Slow, insistent. I step carefully. The air tastes metallic, heavy with tension. The shadows press closer. Watching, waiting. I cannot ignore it. Each creak, each step is a reminder. The ceiling carries a presence. Patient, observant, and I feel the weight of it in my chest. The mirror frosts from the inside. Cold curls across the glass, twisting slowly. Shapes appear in the frost. Rooms that do not exist, shadows that move independently. I lean closer. Hands reach from the glass. Empty space, yet impossible weight presses against it. I step back. The air hums faintly with cold vibration. I taste metal on my tongue. Shadows twist in the reflection, bending unnaturally. The room in the glass moves in ways that contradict reality. It is silent yet alive. I try to touch it. Fingers brush frost. The shapes vanish, but their presence lingers. The mirror exhales quietly. I step away, heart pounding, carrying the impossible reflection inside me. The walls pulse softly, like lungs. Doors inhale and exhale in time with my heartbeat. Air grows warmer, heavier, almost sentient. Shadows curl against the walls. They stretch and shift in rhythm with the cabin itself. The hum of unseen presence vibrates through the floorboards. I touch the wall. It yields slightly, soft, alive under my fingers. The cabin watches, not with eyes, but with patience, a quiet awareness that presses gently, insistently. I step back. The air tastes faintly metallic. Every shadow leans closer. Every sound deepens. The house breathes around me, and I realize I am inside a living presence. The shadows detach. They move independently, sliding along the walls, across the floor, whispering. Secrets I have never told, murmured softly into the air. I look away. They move. I blink. They vanish. The hum of presence vibrates through my bones. The darkness knows me, better than I know myself. I step carefully. The whispers brush my ears. They curl around my fingers, curl into my chest. The air tastes metallic, heavy with unseen observation. Every shadow carries a memory, a fragment, a secret. I am exposed, intimately, relentlessly. I pause. The shadows gather. then recede slightly. The whispers linger, soft and insistent. The cabin watches through them. And I understand I am never alone. The clearing absorbs every sound. My footsteps vanish. Even the wind is muted. In the center, a figure sits, still, unmoving. It does not turn to look, yet I feel its gaze. The fog curls around the edges of the hollow. Shadows lean inward, bending unnaturally. The air tastes faintly metallic, cold against my tongue. I step closer. The ground feels softer here, almost alive. The figure does not move, yet I feel seen, measured, examined. I pause. Silence presses into my chest, heavy and patient. The hollow exhales slowly, and I realize isolation has a presence of its own. Fog rolls in thick. Shapes gleam with pale eyes. Every glance reveals more. I cannot count them. I cannot escape. The air tastes damp and cold. Footsteps echo softly, but I cannot tell which belong to me. The eyes shift, always at the edge of vision. I blink. They vanish. I step forward. They reappear, patient, unblinking. The forest breathes around me, aware, observing, every movement deliberate. A low hum vibrates through the fog. The eyes follow, relentless. Fear presses into my chest. I realize there is no turning back, no path away from being watched. A small door whispers my name. Low, soft, insistent. It is in the cabin floor, where none should exist. I hesitate. Curiosity pulls me closer. The air tastes metallic, heavy. Shadows gather at the edges of the room. I open it. A hollow darkness exhales. Cold, thick, impossibly deep. Every instinct screams that I have crossed a line. I step back. The floorboard trembles. The shadows lean closer. The door waits. I cannot unsee what lies beyond. And I realize the line I cross cannot be undone. The air grows heavy. Unseen eyes press against my ears. I move, and the forest mirrors my steps. Silence fills every corner. Not empty, oppressive, patient. I sense a presence. Always there, never visible. It presses against the edges of perception, breathing quietly. The fog coils through the trees. Shadows stretch toward me. The weight of observation settles inside my chest. I stop. The forest exhales softly. I am aware of being watched, intimately, relentlessly, and the silence, it is alive. The forest swallows me, fog thick and endless. Light fades, shapes shift at the edges of perception. Watching, I realize leaving was never possible. Every step loops back to the cabin, to the shadows, to the fog. The air tastes damp, metallic, heavy with unseen presence. Shadows move subtly in the periphery. Watching, waiting. The hum vibrates inside my chest. I am absorbed. Acceptance settles slowly. Quiet surrender to isolation. The fog holds me. The forest observes. And I understand the world I entered was never mine to leave. The cabin waits, patient. Shadows linger. And I am inside the story. Always.